hear from Tim Wagner. As I said, he wants to tell us some background of his organization that we give our offering, half of our offering to this month and next. And then he'll have time for questions, so have some questions for him.
Okay. Thank you, Brenda, and thank you all for inviting me out here to be here today, and for your generosity in designating a portion of your Sunday offerings for the months of March and April to UPHE. I'm humbled by that. Obviously, to me, that speaks volumes in terms of building community, and that's really what we're about at the very top end of things, and obviously that's what your organization is about as well, so we really appreciate that. Without that support, or like any other nonprofit, we couldn't function, so we really appreciate it. Yeah, I have served as the Executive Director of Utah Physicians for Healthy Environment since last September, full-time. Before that, I worked for about 7.5 years for the Sierra Club here locally, where I directed the Sierra Club's local energy campaign, where we led a pretty successful effort in stopping 4 major proposed coal-fired power plants in the state of Utah. And during that time, I also served on Governor Huntsman's Blue Ribbon Advisory Council on Climate Change, and I also co-directed the Governor's Renewable Energy Task Force for a couple of years. So very proud of those accomplishments, and it gave me a really good background to help lead this organization. UPHE was actually founded back in 2007. I've told this story many times. It's very simple. I was at the Sierra Club at the time. It was middle of January. One of our really nasty inversions that kind of socked us in, and while friends and colleagues up in Park City were enjoying a beautiful sunny day, we were socked down in here in a gray smog that we had no idea what was going on above us. And I got a call this one afternoon from an individual who I did not know, by the name of Dr. Brian Nash. And I had seen his name on occasion in the newspaper for an occasional editorial and stuff, but I'd never met him. And he was calling very concerning about this deteriorating air quality we were experiencing during that month, and basically said, what can we do about this? And I thought about it for a moment, and I knew that in my experiences of environmental advocacy and communications work I'd done over the years, that I'd come to find out that when it comes to environmental and conservation issues, there simply is no voice out there that's more trusted than the medical profession. And so I suggested to Brian, well, do you know some of the doctors who might want to sit down and talk with about this? And he said, yeah, I could probably get a few. So we literally met at my office one night a week for 6 weeks. And each night was about a 3-hour session where we basically brainstormed. And basically we figured out we're going to pull this organization together and get some medical professionals to start speaking out about this issue, but also other issues as well. And of course, air quality has always been the main staple of Utah physicians, but we've since have branched out and gotten involved in other issues as well when it comes to our environmental health and our planet, particularly here locally. But it was the air quality issue that really propelled us to number one. I remember we held, after 6 weeks of planning, we held a press conference down at LDS Hospital, not really knowing what the reception was going to be, and I think there was literally a representative from every media outlet in the entire state there that day. And it ended up being about a 2-hour press conference with all these doctors giving these incredibly boring slides about health effects and pollution and so forth and so on. But it prompted a movement. Out of that, spun off from that Utah Moms for Clean Air, which is also, very well spoken, outspoken advocate for clean air. And I'm often asked, what, if you had to look back, what do you think youth opposition's biggest victory has been? And we've had many specific victories, including like stopping a major proposed petroleum coke power plant up in Davis County that would have been built right in the middle of some of the worst air pollution we have in the valley, and other things that we've been involved with. But I think the biggest victory that we can honestly lay claim to, and we're very proud of, is we have literally changed the conversation about air quality in the valley. It would not be what it is without a group of doctors and then a bunch of just folks just like yourselves standing up and speaking to the issue and wanting to make change. And in the last 2 years up at the legislature, I've been involved in numerous efforts to try to pass legislation. And, you know, last year, of course, we had a large air quality rally up on the hill, which drew close to 5,000 people. This year we had another rally that drew about 3,500 people by our estimates, and maybe some of you were there. And that would not have happened 7 or 8 years ago. Plain simply would not have happened. It's become the issue in terms of environment and health that has crossed all demographic and social lines across this great state that we live in. And because of that, it's given us a lot of power. And it's resulted in some movement. Now, have we made a lot of progress? Well, that's questionable, but we certainly are seeing a lot more attention paid to the issue. And we got some good bills passed this last session, not as many as we would have liked, but we did get some bills passed that are combined going to continually make a difference. And so we'll keep plowing forward. UPHE is currently made up of about 350 medical professionals across the state, and then a slew of just, you know, common people like myself. I'm not a physician, but people who really care, who really support us one way or the other, either financially or, you know, get involved and volunteer their time, and show up for meetings, make comments where comments need to be submitted, calling the governor, whatever. It's the same old grassroots activism and organizational endeavor that I bring from the Sierra Club that I've brought into this organization, and we hope to see it continually grow. And I would say that in the back, as you walk out today, at the table I put down some pamphlets about our organization there, and some business cards, as well as a sign-up sheet if you want to sign up and get more information from us. We have a very active website, uphe.org. We also are very active on our Facebook page, where we have, last I saw, about 4,800 people following us on Facebook, and that's ended up becoming one of our main tools in terms of communicating with the community. And so if you want to sign up and put you in our database, we don't share your names and lists with anybody else. We keep it all to ourselves. And you know, and if you want to volunteer, there's a little check mark that you can make on that form if you want to, and at some point one of us will contact you and ask for help in terms of any number of things that we try to do. So, you know, I mentioned we've got involved in a variety of issues besides air quality. One of the bigger ones that we're starting to really get involved with a lot, and this kind of echoes what's some of the things that Shannon was talking about in her comments a little bit ago, and that is water. I think water is going to become a defining issue in the West, and probably in the U.S. And as we go down this pathway of climate change, and as we're seeing some of the devastating effects from it. And Utah happens to sit right at point zero of the water issue in the West. You know, much of this state, maybe not right here, but much of this state east of the Wasatch is part of the Colorado River watershed, as is part of Wyoming and Colorado, and also the lower basin states, New Mexico, Arizona, and parts of Nevada and California. The Colorado River, of course, serves as the source of drinking water for roughly 40 million people in the American Southwest. cities such as Las Vegas and Tucson and Phoenix and San Diego and LA and all points in between. They all depended on one little stream of water. And just last weekend, I would point out, I took my daughter, who was on spring break, and we went down to Cedar Mesa, down south of Blanding, and camped for a few days. We came back up through Height, and came by the old marina at Height. And there's no lake. There is no lake. That marina, it's a quarter-mile long boat ramp that's been extended twice already, is at least a quarter mile from the river. And you can see picnic tables out into the sagebrush, the tamarisk, sitting out there, rotting away, collecting dust. The visitor center is shut down. There's nothing there. 10 years ago, I came through there, and there was still some water that you could still approach with a boat, but that no longer exists. Now the only way you can put a boat into the river is to go on the other side and go down through a temporary boat ramp that the Bureau of Reclamation has built. That's the sign of things to come. That's what we're faced with. Climate change is real, it's happening, we can see it every day. But to me, that was the most stark image I've seen in quite a while. And I put it up on Facebook, and literally it just went bam everywhere. And suddenly I saw that photograph popping up all over the place. And it's just a reminder that we need to do a better job. And one of the things that Utah Physicians has engaged in now, there's a campaign of about 12 organizations who came together within the last year and have developed this campaign called Colorado River Connected. And you can go online, you can look it up, coloradoriverconnected.org. And we're all about trying to build awareness on what's going on in the Colorado River Basin here in Utah and the Upper Basin states with some pretty serious mineral extraction and fossil fuel development. It's going to become a much, much bigger deal. I tell people that if I was a mother of 4 in Tucson and got all my water out of the tap that came from the Colorado River, I'd be concerned to see what's going on here in Utah. I'd be very concerned. There's roughly 12,000 active oil and gas wells in Utah right now, and 95% of those are being fracked. Every one of those wells is being fracked 2 to 3 times. Each time it's fracked takes anywhere from 500,000 to 4 million gallons of water. Some of that water stays in the ground, mixes with chemicals and diesel fuel that they use for the fracking. It stays there. It gets into the groundwater. Some of it comes back up. They pump it into wastewater ponds that aren't being monitored. It's a very serious situation. And it's causing huge ozone problems in the Uinta Basin, which some of you may have read, recently an article in the Salt Lake Tribune about a spike in infant deaths, sudden infant deaths and infant mortality in the Uinta Basin. It's all related to air quality, energy development, water quality. It's all connected together. We need to do a better job of not only what we do today, but thinking about future generations. It's a serious, serious problem. And if we don't get a handle on this, the West doesn't look very promising place to live in many, many ways. We're very fortunate here along the Wasatch Front because a lot of our water comes from these Wasatch Mountains. But as you look out, I was up in Park City yesterday and hiking up high and got pictures of all the ski resorts, and the only place you see snow is on the ski runs. And there's no other snow up there. In the middle of March, that's pretty crazy. So there's some changes going on. So I don't want to go too far down this road and talking about the issues and raising alarm bells. I'd rather have a conversation. And so if you have some questions, I'd love to entertain them. Like I said, I spent a lot of time on the Hill this past session, which ended just a week and a half ago. I can tell you stories about that or any of the issues we're working on. I'm sure you all have some concerns and questions. So.
I'm wondering if you have any comment on the high rate of autism in Utah, if that's also connected with climate change.
That's a great question. So the question was about the high rate of autism in Utah and whether or not it's connected to climate change. I can't honestly say that it is. That would probably be be a pretty difficult thing to prove statistically. Utah does have some of the highest rates of autism, as well as the state of New Jersey. There are increasingly medical research coming out that shows a pattern or a relationship between air pollution, specific air pollutants like PM2.5 and autism. That's not to say that we know 100% that it's the cause, but it can contribute to it, we think. PM2.5 air particulate, it's about 1/100th of the diameter of human hair. It's the smallest of the smallest pollution particles, and so you get other pollutants in the air, such as nitrogen oxide and ozone and sulfur dioxide. They attach themselves to these small PM2.5 particles, and because they're so small, PM10, which is a little bit bigger, obviously you can take it into your lungs, but it's because of its size, you don't get it into your bloodstream and into your organs as much as PM2.5. That's the real danger of PM2.5. And the neurological effects of PM2.5 are starting to become quite documented, especially in prenatal development. And we just did at the Salt Lake City Library about a month ago, back in early March, maybe late February, I forget now, but we had a group of doctors and presented about an hour and a half on the effects of air pollution as it's tied to infant development, particularly the prenatal stage. And definitely autism comes up in the conversation, that it's very much something to be very concerned about. The direct connection with climate change, well, climate change obviously is going to contribute to our air pollution problems, because as we see drier climates, more dust, and we see more dust storms blowing in from the West Desert. I've seen in the last 5 years, noticed just particularly this time of year, where we've had these high wind events, just completely out of character, that suddenly we see particulate levels in the Salt Lake Valley rise to 200 or more, which is like 6 times the EPA recommended standard. And what's attached to those particulates as they come across from the West Desert, who knows? But it's something to be very concerned about. This is one of the reasons why we're also very concerned about, there's now proposals to build some more dams on the Bear River, which would divert more water out of the Great Salt before it hits the Great Salt Lake. That's going to cause even more drying up and shrinking of the Great Salt Lake, more exposed lake beds, more dust prone to, into our atmosphere, causing more air pollution along the Wasatch Front at times when we normally wouldn't see it. Our worst inversions are always in the wintertime, of course, when we have cold temperatures with blanket of snow. And then the ozone periods are in the summertime. But now we can start to see some real episodic events of air pollution. Spring, fall, when we have days of high wind because of a more exposed lake bed. If the Division of Water Resources develops the Bear River like they want. So it's a very serious issue. Any question?
We probably just have time for about 2 more, and
Okay.
then Ted's staying after to speak as well.
I wanted to ask about the Uinta Basin. Are they going non-attainment? Do you know the status of that?
No, they're not in attainment. They're out of attainment on ozone, and they have been for quite a time. It varies. They get huge spikes, and they're prone to the inversions like we get here because much of the basin is in a bowl, like we are here, and so you'll see these tremendous spikes of ozone during January and February. I saw a study just 2 days ago that was done just in 2013. They actually looked at the ozone levels in the Uinta Basin during January and February of 2012 and 2013, which was at the height of the fossil fuel boom out there. It's tapered off now because of the price of oil. But during those months in 2012 and 2013, they estimated that the ozone levels around Vernal were as high as what you would see from 100 million cars, which is 8 times the amount of vehicle traffic in the city of LA on any given day. This was a scientific journal. It was published in Environmental Science and Technology Journal online. You can find the study. So there's a lot of concern about the Unibasin being out of attainment. I would tell you that a lot of the concern that we hear coming from the politicians of Unibasin is they're afraid of more regulations slowing down the development of fossil fuels, where the concern really should be what it's doing to the health of individuals who live out there. It's a very serious problem. Our UPHE's CPA lives in Vernal, and she has an infant that's about 2 years old, who was born with, and I can't even tell you the name of the disorder because I'm not a physician, but it's a very unique condition where the baby's tracheal tube shrinks to about half normal size because of this pollution, and it's because of prenatal development and exposure to this high levels of ozone. And so it's a condition that this child will live with its entire life, where getting good quality breaths of air is really difficult at times. It's like asthma on steroids almost, if I could use it on. But anyway, other question?
Yeah, I wanted to hear what you had to say about the air quality bill that did pass that would allow the state to establish higher standards than EPA's. And do you have any hope that anything would really happen? I'm curious and I'm skeptical.
Yeah, that was, when a bunch of us air quality advocates were meeting back in November to plan not only the rally in January, but also what the things we were going to be trying to push for during the session. That was the one bill that we decided out of everything we wanted to try to push, that was one bill we wanted to get passed. And we did. It get watered down a little bit. They changed the wording from more stringent to different. This came from Representative Mike Noel from Kanab, who has a very well-known disdain for anything environmental. And it was his way of basically saying, no, environmentalists aren't going to control our lives. But the fact of the matter is, because the language is different, it can't go any direction but up. By law, we can't make anything less than EPA standards. So if the Air Quality Board, and it's up to the Air Quality Board to pass stricter laws, if they see a need to do it, and I believe they will, yeah, we can see some better regulation, particularly as it pertains to the industry.
So have you been in conversation with that board?
Yeah, all the time. All the time.
Do you have hope that they will?
Yeah. The board has gotten, I believe, even better representation from the environmental community than we've had in the past. Not right now. They still have strong representation by industry, but we've got some really good people now who are very well versed in the medical research and the environmental health and know what needs to happen. And I believe, yeah, we probably in the next couple of years will see some strict regulations come through and proposed. It was still, we have to see them get passed, and that's where people get involved and engaged and write letters and call and so forth. We're hopeful. Yeah, that was a big deal. So I appreciate the question. Yeah. And I'll be ready. I'll be available. I'll stick around after service. We can have some more questions and answers, and happy to engage some more. So thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Tim, for sharing that information with us and taking time out of your Sunday and this beautiful day to come here. And now, if you could please stand and by your spirit as we join together in singing "We'll Build a Land," hymn number 121.